Facebook Live. It's Becky Sheehy, a Pilates teacher, kinesiologist, and holistic health coach, and I'm about to go live with Kearsten Lyon of Toronto Movement Therapy, and we're going to talk about all things Pilates and movement and why Pilates and movement is so great for pain-free living and pain relief and all kinds of things. So Kearsten should be on in just a moment. So make sure if you have some questions for Kearsten to put them in the comments. Even if you're watching this on the replay, we're both fast on the computer. We'll get back to you on your questions. And I'm sure Kearsten's happy to answer any of them. And also, because I'm so into Pilates, I'm sure if you have a Pilates related question, I can answer it as well. So make sure you put your questions in the comments there, and we're just gonna wait for Kearsten to jump on.
Hi.
Here we go.
I'm so sorry. I didn't know what was going on. Okay.
No worries.
Hello.
Nice to see you, and we finally got things to work. So
Yeah.
This is Kearsten Lyon, Toronto Movement Therapy. Welcome.
Hello, thank you.
About yourself and what do you do at Toronto Movement Therapy?
Okay, so I'm a Pilates and movement therapist, which means that basically I'm like a very specialized kind of personal trainer or movement specialist. So I kind of work with people who really have a lot of they want to get back into movement, but they've got some pathologies maybe they're managing in terms of old injuries or maybe some neurological conditions. And so going to like a gym or a group class doesn't quite suit them, or you know, they really need to slow things down and regress things a little bit. And so that's where I kind of come in. I kind of bridge that gap a little bit. And awesome. I work often with like manual therapists, like chiros, physios, osteos, that kind of thing. And I'll often co-care with them doing the kind of movement or active rehab part of their treatment plans.
Perfect. It sounds a lot like what I do as a kin, is the same kind of co-care and kind of like a personal trainer, but a lot more specialized in the movement piece, which is
exactly.
Getting people well again. So how did you get started in Pilates?
So I've been doing Pilates for a really long time. I was a national level synchronized swimmer when I was a kid for about a decade. So throughout my teenage years, we did Pilates as part of our training. It was really to kind of give some balance to our training, because it was a lot of repetitive strain injuries that would come up as athletes. Mm-hmm. So we did that. And then throughout university, I went to theater school and I did a lot of Pilates mat classes there just to give myself better motor control, to be able to kind of morph into different characters and do more physical kind of theater. And then I had an injury in, I think 2007. I was hit by a cab downtown and I fell and I broke my coccyx. And so then I needed to really do Pilates for rehab. So I really waited for my coccyx to heal, and I worked with a chiro and a physio at the time. But then there was really some like fine tuning, like motor skills that I needed that they weren't quite able to give me, which I was able to get through a therapeutic Pilates kind of specialist. So yeah, that's how I started.
Yeah, that's kind of how a lot of Pilates journeys start with athletes. I also am a former athlete. I used to run, and then I got so into Pilates because I was doing all of these movements in physio when I was in pain, and then just fell completely in love with Pilates. And now I'm still teaching it, still doing it, and it's so great for athletes. So that's awesome that that's your story. So what type of injuries or postural concerns do you typically work with?
I do a lot of low back pain. I find people are really rigid when there's, a chronic low back issue or pelvic pain, that sort of thing. And really the best thing for them is movement, maybe paired with some manual therapy as well. But a lot of the times people are afraid to move. And so they don't know what they should be doing, what they shouldn't be doing. So I'll do a lot of that. I also, I really have a gamut. I've trained in all kinds of different specialties. So I'll do neurological conditions like MS, Parkinson's, stroke, traumatic brain injuries, scoliosis. I work with a lot of kids, also like teens who are kind of going through like difficult growth spurts, and you get those lanky phases where you're like, I have no motor control. So that as well. So really a full kind of spectrum, and a lot of pre and postnatal clients too.
Awesome. Yeah, great for all of those things for sure. So between the mat and the reformer, what's your favorite? Do you like the mat better? Reformer?
I gotta say, actually, I like the Cadillac a lot, and it's something that a lot of people don't have in studio because it's so mammoth. It's a big piece, and you can get the tower on the reformer, and that's helpful too. but I like the four kind of poster element of the Cadillac, the frame that goes above the bed. And I will often use that with the Oov, which is my other kind of favorite piece of movement equipment. And I find like I often don't start with people on the reformer just because I'm usually dealing with people that have regressions that the reformer, like the moving carriage, is just too much for them. So I'll start them on the Cadillac instead. And I also like the views as like I was a movement practitioner myself. The Cadillac is so much higher that I can really kind of see what's going on without having to get down on my hands and knees a lot. And so, yeah, I think that's probably my favorite.
Neat. Can you tell us a little bit about the Oov? Because I know you post about it all the time.
Yeah.
It looks so neat.
Yeah, so the Oov was created by an osteopath, and it's basically designed to help train you in 3D. So you can lie on it supine, prone, do coronal plane work, standing, sitting, all kinds of stuff. You can add it to any of the Pilates apparatuses. And essentially what it does is, like a lot of Pilates, mat work, reformer, and Cadillac, it's all done on a flat surface, which means that you really are kind of training in a 2D way-ish. And you can incorporate lots of transverse plane and rotational stuff. But what the Oov does, it really kind of destabilizes someone and helps to like make their strategies, their movement strategies from whatever, maybe like surgeries or injuries they've had. It makes their strategies for movement very apparent, and it shows where their weaknesses are instantly. So then you can really start to break and break down, you know, what do we want to work on here? What planes of movement are really challenging for you? And what's cool about it is it happens really fast, and it gets people into their bodies really quickly and gets them out of their heads. So they have to really think about what they're doing, which is pairing that kind of mindful movement together really fast.
That's awesome. Yeah, I find unstable surfaces really do that because you have so
exactly.
Stable surface. So
exactly.
Pilates exercise and why?
So I love the roll up and teaser series. A bit of a psycho that way. I know a lot of people have challenges with that. It's hard. So yeah, and there's so many different ways that you can make that easier or harder, you know, adding weights, bands, and that sort of thing. So I love that. And I love that it's such a full body exercise too. So yeah. What's yours?
That's a great question. I guess I love anything sideline glute work.
Okay. That's good.
Ladies who will watch this later, they know I love to do just damage on damage. Feels like
I always think it's like, it's so Jane Fonda, you know, like get some leggings on.
I love it. It's not for wussies though. It's really good.
It is not. And we need those.
Yeah, no worries. What's a common pain point and like how do you treat it? It's kind of, you were talking about lower back pain before, but what's something like that people might not know has a really simple fix through movement?
Yeah. Well, for myself, after I broke my coccyx, one of the things that I did often was pull up in my posterior pelvic floor to give myself some stability and some support around my coccyx. And I found actually that's very common with even SI joint pain or low back pain, that people will get very rigid around pelvic floor. And it can be any part of pelvic floor, but I find it's often posterior pelvic floor. And so the cue that I'll give people, and so now we're going to get really intimate here, is people will often kind of feel like they're pulling up on their rectum, like they're drawing their rectal muscles up into their pelvis, and it's like they're clenching something. It's like they're holding something so tight there, and so I'll work on helping them to not release those muscles, but to get some more mobility there and to kind of soften that area, so which will free up actually sacral movement and pelvic movement in all planes, and it will also give them more length through their posterior chain, even into glutes, hamstrings. It'll give them more like hip flexion. It's amazing, and it's such a simple little thing. So I kind of will tell people, you know, to pay attention to their rectal area and like, are you clenching it? And if you are, can you soften it? And pay attention to those things when you're in stressful situations, like at work, maybe you're having an intense meeting with someone or a tough talk with someone, like, are you clenching your butt muscles, like those rectal muscles? And if you are, can you soften them? And it's often very connected to kind of a fight or flight response as well. We'll get we'll clench a lot through those muscles when we're feeling threatened in some way. So yeah, just being more aware and seeing if you can relax in there. And once you can relax, then it's about trying to find those muscles working in a functional way, like they're either on really tight and then we're trying to get them to soften, and then we're going to put some load through there to get them to actually function optimally. So it's a silly small thing, but it's like, I find a lot of people are butt clenchers, and I myself was too. So, and that was a huge like aha moment for me. So hopefully that's helpful for people.
Definitely. Thank you for that. I actually spoke with a massage therapist earlier last year, and I said, do you have any cues for people who clench their butt muscles too tight? And she just said, drop the pickle. So now if I find I'm doing it, I just think, drop the pickle. And then it's like, you think of that dropping, it's like a release.
Yeah.
Also a hilarious, which if you laugh, you're kind of loosening up a little bit too.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. And it makes bowel movements easier too, which is like, now we're getting real personal, but like, if you're holding so much tension there, like, how can you let go? How can you evacuate things, so it's multi levels of help there.
And there are probably so many people out there who suffer from bowel issues or constipation or irritable bowel even, and even a cue like that could probably help them as well. So endlessly helpful.
For sure.
Very good. So we're going to wrap up in just a minute, but do you have any advice out there for someone who wants to start a movement program, knows they need to be moving, but isn't really sure where to begin? Where can they start? How can they get started?
Well, I think like for myself in my practice, what I offer is 15-minute consults with people. So if they're really not sure if I'm the right fit for them, or if I have the tools to be able to help them, even personality wise, if we're the right fit, sometimes, you want to see if someone's a really high energy person and I'm not so much, trying to see if you're a good fit personality wise. So essentially, like if you kind of know somebody in the area that you might want to work with, ask them if they do consults. And I do my consults over the phone, and we kind of talk a little bit about what your primary concerns are or goals are, and then I talk a little bit about how I would approach those things, and then let you ask any questions you might have off the bat. And it's a good little icebreaker, and then you can kind of go away as a client and think like, do I want to work with that person? Do I think that they can help me or not? And to be honest, if during that call, if I think that I'm not able to help you, maybe you're out of my scope of practice for whatever reason, or I just don't have the tools in my toolbox for it, then I'll often refer to some other practitioners in the area and just say, you know what, why don't you start here? I would start here with so-and-so, and this is the reason why. Or I'll give them a couple of different people in that field so they can choose the best person for themselves. And then say, once you get to this point, then I would contact me again, and then we can kind of move forward from there once you, especially if that's helpful for really complex cases or clients who've had like a lot of stuff going on. Gives them a chance to kind of get an awareness of where they're at, and then where they can go from there. Yeah.
Practitioners, you have to meet people where they're at, and if you guys don't quite line up, or if I don't quite line up with someone, there definitely is someone who can help them, and it's good to find that person and just keep swinging and find someone, right?
Totally. Absolutely. Yeah.
New location, because I saw you're moving.
Yeah. So my studio was in my home for quite a few years, and then I decided to upgrade to a commercial space. So now I'm at Coxwell and Danforth. There's a medical building there. It's 688 Coxwell. It's just on the southwest side, and the building's full of other great practitioners, family health doctors, cardiologists, lots of different specialists. And they didn't have anybody that was doing movement there. So for myself, I'm always kind of co-caring with lots of different practitioners. Everybody needs movement. Everybody needs exercise. And so, and a lot of times these family doctors and physicians, they just don't know where to send people. So, so I'm really excited to be in the building, and I just kind of soft opened yesterday. We don't have any baseboards yet, but that's fine. Don't need those just yet. It's okay. It's just an aesthetic thing. But I'm putting those in with my dad on Friday, actually. So, but yeah, everything's coming together. I'm excited about it. And thanks.
Congrats.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So in the process of opening a home studio here, we have 5 reformers, but I'm in Kawartha Lakes.
Wonderful.
To outgrow my studio too and move into a commercial space. So I'll have to pick your brain again sometime.
Yes, please do. Please do. It's been like quite a wild ride, and learned a ton for sure. But I was actually supposed to open about a month ago, and like construction woes and stuff set us back. So Yeah, I've got lots to share on that front.
Awesome. I will come down and visit, definitely.
Please do. And I do have some OOV workshops coming up. There's one at Spine Stretch Studio in Aurora this weekend on Sunday. But there's another one. There's going to be a couple in the new year, one in February and one in March. So stay connected on my Instagram, and hopefully you can come to one of those.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Kearsten. And if anyone is looking to check out Toronto Movement Therapy, you have a website, right?
Right now, my website's just about to launch at the end of the week. So you can check me out on Facebook or on Instagram at Toronto Movement Therapy there for now.
Yeah, on Instagram, on Facebook at Toronto Movement Therapy. And thank you so much for letting me pick your brain. And we will talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me, Becky. Take care.
No problem. Bye.
Bye.